everyone, this is Athena from Courage Coaching. Thank you so much for stopping by today. In today's video, I wanted to talk about overthinking and what some characteristics are of somebody who is an overthinker. Why do we overthink? And how do we stop overthinking? What techniques can we use? Now, when you are quite an anxious person, when you are an empath, or when you are a highly sensitive person, you will notice that overthinking is something that you do a lot. You will generally find it very hard to switch off. You will find yourself thinking too much when you have too much time on your hands and you are not keeping busy. Now, overthinking happens because people have high expectations of themselves. Now, when you are overthinking, you will notice that you find it very hard to get your mind to focus on anything else other than the thing that you are overthinking about. Now, ruminating is another part of overthinking, where you are constantly rehashing the same things over and over again in your head. And this is a very unhelpful thinking pattern. Now, what are some examples of overthinking? Now, there are many different types of overthinking, and the ones that I want to focus on today are things known as cognitive distortions. And cognitive distortions are negative, distorted ways of thinking that are very unhelpful. Now, the first type of cognitive distortion, which is a type of overthinking, is known as all or nothing thinking. All or nothing thinking means that we only look at situations in black or white terms. So they are either all good or they are all bad. And you might analyze an event in terms of being a total success or a total failure. Now, it isn't always like this, because sometimes there is a middle ground. Sometimes there is a grey area. Just because something doesn't work and it's a complete success, it doesn't also mean that it's a total failure. It could be that it was okay. So for instance, it may be that you decided to throw a party for a couple of your friends to celebrate something that you succeeded in. And you may be worrying about it, you may be overthinking what might go wrong, what might you not have done very well. Maybe the guests won't like the food, maybe they won't like the music. Maybe some of your friends won't get along. You will be overthinking. You will be getting anxious about this before it happens. This is all very common when you are an overthinker. And then the party happens, things don't go maybe as you had originally thought they would, but people are getting along. People are having a good time. Maybe not everybody came that you invited, but there were enough people there for the party to be an interesting and successful one. It may have been just the right amount of people for everybody to get to know each other, for everybody to get on well. And it may have been a bit smaller than you thought, or people may have wanted more food and you didn't have enough. At the end of the day, it wasn't all perfect and it wasn't all bad. It was somewhere in the middle. It worked out well. People had a nice time, and that's all that matters, right? Now let's look at another type of overthinking, which is catastrophizing. And again, this is a cognitive distortion, also known as a thinking error. Now, catastrophizing, again, is something that we do when we get really anxious about something that we are thinking about, whether that's a situation, whether that's an event, whether that's something that we've said or done. Maybe we're worried we've hurt somebody's feelings. So catastrophizing essentially means what the word says. We think about things so much and we worry that whatever we do is going to end up being a total catastrophe. So an example of catastrophizing could be that you're really scared about failing a very important exam. And then your brain takes it further and thinks, well, if I fail that exam, then I'm going to fail school, then I'm going to fail getting into the university I want, and then I'm not going to get a degree, and then my life is going to be a complete and utter shambles, a complete and utter mess, because I'm just going to be a complete failure and I won't have achieved anything. Do you see how that goes from one worry of failing an exam to then failing at life completely? That is catastrophizing. Something really small that you're worried about becomes really big and is an utter catastrophe. But luckily, this doesn't actually happen. This is just our mind worrying too much, overthinking too much, and taking things beyond a certain level, which is very unhelpful and very anxiety inducing. Now, another example of overthinking is something known as overgeneralizing. We base a simple rule or an expectation for the future on a single or a random event of the past. So if you overgeneralize by associating one failed event in the past to all future events and thinking that you're also going to fail those, then that basically means that you are overgeneralizing. You are basing any future success that you may have on certain failures in the past, and you think that that is what's going to happen. But that isn't the reality. Just because you didn't do well in the past in something, or just because something didn't go the way you had planned, it doesn't mean that everything you do in the future is also going to be that way. So when we're overgeneralizing, we're using always or never statements, and this is very, very unhelpful. Now, what are some other characteristics of somebody who is an overthinker? An overthinker will struggle very much to sleep at night. Once they go to bed, they will think about something again and again and again and worry about it for hours, and they won't be able to relax. Everything that they think of will be either negative or never-ending. An overthinker will go to bed at night and worry about something that they may have done during the day, and they may be overthinking the fact that they did something wrong, and then they will worry about this for hours and they won't be able to relax. When an overthinker is truly sorry about something, they will desperately hope that you will accept their apology. When they feel that they have done something wrong, they will overthink about making a mistake. They will worry so much about what other people think, what other people perceive. They will want to make sure that the person is okay. They will want to make sure that their apology was accepted. Overthinkers in most cases are also people pleasers. They are always worrying about other people and what other people need, and they put other people's needs above their own. Overthinkers are also very indecisive sometimes, and they find it very, very hard to make up their minds because they don't trust themselves. They don't trust in their own abilities to make a decision. There is always a lingering doubt no matter what decision they try and make. So they may always come to you for advice because they are feeling indecisive. Overthinkers are also very hard on themselves, very perfectionistic, and they do tend to have really high expectations of themselves because they are very, very hard on themselves. And they also expect a lot from others. Overthinkers also find it very hard to live in the moment, and they are always worrying about the future. Overthinkers are also generally individuals who don't like being late for appointments. They always make sure they leave early, and they always want to be on time. Now, this is also a little bit dependent on the personality of the overthinker, but from my experience, I am like that. I cannot bear to be late for an appointment, and I get so anxious beforehand if I see that something isn't going as planned. So for instance, if the train is late or if a bus is late, I get really anxious. I really don't like it. And I always make sure I text the person to tell them, look, I'm really sorry, but the bus is running late. I'm going to do my best to be there on time. I stress about that so much. I don't like it at all because I don't want to disappoint the other person. I don't want to waste their time. So if you're an overthinker, maybe you do this too. Maybe you don't. Doesn't mean you're not an overthinker though. Overthinkers generally aren't crazy people. They just think too much, which can be really hard for them to relax, which can be really hard for them to just enjoy their day without having other worries. And they do tend to worry excessively about things. So they are worriers. They do have quite an anxious personality. Now, what are some things you can do as somebody who is an overthinker? What helps you calm your mind down? Guided meditation is very useful. Deep breathing, obviously. Accepting the fact that I am an overthinker. So for you as well, if you accept the fact that that's just how you are, then you will feel better because acceptance is key in this. If you notice that you were thinking in unhelpful ways, so just like I mentioned before, if you were catastrophizing or if you were thinking in all or nothing terms, or you are overgeneralizing, then try and notice your thoughts. Try and challenge any negative thoughts, because catastrophizing isn't going to help you feel better if you're already stressed about something. So try and challenge any negative thinking. Distract yourself if you have to. Do something else to get yourself out of this thinking pattern. Another thing you can do, obviously, is to meditate, to try and be mindful, do a lot of deep breathing, anything at all that helps you calm yourself down, anything at all that reduces anxiety. Try and limit sugar, don't drink too much coffee, exercise, get endorphins in your body because these are happy chemicals. These help you feel better. Also, it's very important for you to practice gratitude and to think about positive things about yourself that you like. You may not like the fact that you are an overthinker. You may not like the fact that you are anxious. But think about all the good things you do, maybe because you are highly empathetic, maybe because you are sensitive, you are very giving and very loving towards others. Maybe you have a special bond with animals, with dogs or cats. Maybe you love nature and you appreciate the small things that other people don't appreciate. Try and find positive things that you can be grateful for. Have a daily gratitude list, anything at all that eases your anxiety or your worrisome thoughts. Anything at all that helps you feel positive. Now, if you could relate to what I talked about in today's video, then please feel free to share your experience. If you are an overthinker like me, what techniques do you use to calm your brain down? And yeah, that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, and I will see you in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.